What's up, people? It's another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best new metal podcast from two guys who are really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Mansell Jr. How's it going?
Great, man. Feeling great.
All right, you're feeling good. I'm feeling good. Let's get going. So, what are we talking about this week, kids? Well, this week, Tim and I are going to talk about must-see documentaries. So, music, yes, music adjacent, maybe. We're going to talk about some of the documentaries that we've seen that are specific to music, specific to the music that we like. Some of the stuff is going to be genres that we're not necessarily big fans of, but we think everybody should see. And we're going to talk about the things that we think all of you should watch. Because just because if it's in the genre you like or not, doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. Doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. Because I've even got some surprising picks on here. Some surprising picks. All right, Tim, start me off with what's a documentary that you've seen that surprised you to the point where you were like, I didn't think this was going to be that good, but holy shit, I'm kind of floored.
Now, when you say documentary, do you mean like, because to me, music documentary, I kind of feel like it's like a band puts out a DVD. It's like them touring backstage, making a
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Now,
Or
you
it
want to
could be
know,
a movie that is about music that you enjoyed.
so I'll start off with this one. There's a doc that came out on, I think it was Vice. I think it was floating around YouTube at first. And then I think Vice might have picked it up or started hosting it, but it's a black metal one. It's called Until the Light Takes Us.
Yep. Yeah, that was Vice. Yeah.
That was really fucking good, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
they had a lot of like I know Varg's in there and it's very, he's one of them people that's, a glorified nut. Well, not glorified, but he's like a
He's a nut.
fucking Nazi.
He's a nut.
Yeah, he went them. Obviously, if you're in the black metal, you know about Varg. He went to jail for killing Euronymous, blah, 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 blah. But that doc was really good, man. Like, it was straight to the point. It talked about a lot of cool shit in there that people are always fighting about on the internet. This is wrong, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. You ever
Mm-hmm.
notice it's from people who weren't even born yet?
Yes.
No, this didn't
Yes.
happen. Motherfucker, you weren't even born. The fuck you
Yes. It's
talking about?
always the people who are not alive are the people who want to argue the hardest. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about it. I just know what I know from the documentaries, and that was a fucking crazy time for music and metal, man. That's just wild shit was happening, all the church burning and shit.
Yeah,
Wild shit, man.
black metal. I think the Decibel magazine has a press, and I think I have the book somewhere up there. The story about all the church burnings and black metal, and that whole scene, for those of us that were around, it erupted overnight, right, Tim?
Oh
Like
yeah,
overnight, there was no such thing as black metal, and then everybody was doing it.
yeah. It's a wild scene, man. It's still fucking crazy. I mean, to this day, there's still them Nazi bands that people love that they don't even know they're Nazi bands.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm a little weary of saying I like Watain because like they kind of I don't know, man.
A lot of those, a lot of the more revered black metal bands have some kind of suspect ties
Oh
and
yeah,
shady pasts.
absolutely, man. But yeah,
Uh,
that one was really good. I thought it was gonna be corny and like people
yeah,
on stage makeup the whole time. Nah, dude, it was like the dude from you've seen it, right?
yeah. Oh yeah,
After,
it's on my Plex server. Yeah.
yeah, after Varg talks, that one dude, I forget what band he was in. They have like a million fucking albums. It's just a one dude walking around on the train and shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What band was he in?
Uh,
I'm gonna look it up as we're
you
talking
have to
because
look
it's
it
gonna
up.
drive me nuts. But yeah, he like really explained it a lot. So
So for me, when I think of a documentary that I watched that I was a little outside my lane, yet I was completely surprised. Did you see Muscle Shoals?
mm-mm.
So Muscle Shoals it's a town in Alabama, and there is a studio there that this guy developed this sound, and it was stuff like "I'll Take You There," "Brown Sugar," "When a Man Loves a Woman," a lot of R&B, a lot of country type stuff. And you had people like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and Greg Allman and Steve Winwood, like they were all in this documentary. And again, that, like I said when we started, this is a genre of music that I don't necessarily seek out listening to.
Yeah.
But man, it was an awesome story about how this tiny little studio in this tiny little place in nowhere, Alabama, turned out all these hits after hits after hits. I actually, Tim might actually still have it in my server. It's definitely worth the watch, dude. It really is interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like the next one. I'll just say real quick. That one, it was some. This one I watched. I think actually on your server called Hired Gun.
Yes, Hired Guns. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And that was all about the fill-in guys, right? Like
Yeah,
so
it's
that
like the touring
the
fill-ins
yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, and but it also I didn't realize like Rudy Sarzo, the bassist, I didn't realize he was basically a hired gun. Some of those
yeah,
guys I didn't realize they were just guys who were around and said, "Hey, you want to go on tour?" You know?
yeah. That one's
The
really fucking good.
you know what the fucked up story in that movie though was the Billy Joel story, where right after he got ripped off, and for those of you that haven't seen it, his backing band basically comes out and says after he got ripped off by his ex brother-in-law for all that money, his personality changed and he became real bitter and real angry,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to tour with any of them, and he was basically just turned into an asshole, to be truthful. But yeah,
Can you
that was a good
blame them a little
watch.
bit though?
No, I really can't. I really can't.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go into that and then all that shit happens.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say the music industry makes you bitter, so
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. What else, Tim? What other ones have you seen that stand out to you?
that stand out. Oh man, this is probably gonna surprise people. That Kitty Origins was fucking great.
Really? I've never seen that.
Yes, you have the Kitty doc that's on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, it came out recently, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is real. I watched that like three
Yeah,
times,
that was
dude.
good. That was really good.
Yeah, really good stuff. Literally, if you're a fan of Kitty, that literally goes through their entire like start to not finish because they're still playing, but like it goes through a lot of their stuff, man. And it's really cool standpoint because they talk about how their parents had to like basically manage them and they're on
Mm-hmm.
Ozfest.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool, man.
Uh
That one really stands out for me.
Tim, did you see Some Kind of Monster?
I have not, no.
Oh, I should have made you watch it before this. I avoided it for years. And then when I watched it, I was 5 minutes in and I just wanted to throw things at my TV. I just wanted to throw things. It was I mean, they were insufferable. They were insufferable. No wonder Jason Newsted quit, right? Because Kirk Hammett was just out there, just out there doing his thing. Lars is just a whiny. I have to sell my Basquiat because of all the piracy. Like he came off as terrible. James came off as terrible, and it was like it kind of ruined the they say you don't want to ever meet your heroes or meet your
Yeah.
idols because all it does is disappoint you. It definitely ruined for me, even reading all the stories beforehand, it ruined some of that mental picture I put together of those guys.
You know what? I'm gonna put that on my list to watch.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix. It's on one of those. But
I
yeah, I
think it
watched
is.
it and I was legit angry. It was legit, or it might actually be like Tubi. I was legit angry.
Isn't it a long one though?
I think it was like 2 hours, but like there's
That's
gonna be
okay.
do it while you're drinking and like kind of messing around on your phone. There are some scenes which are really worth watching, but then they bring in like they show the tryouts for the replacement for Newstead, and they bring in like guys who are like Scott Reeder from Caius,
Hmm.
who great bassist, but he doesn't fit that mold. But then again, Trujillo really doesn't either. He was a funk guy from Infectious Grooves. But yeah, if they have a camera there where they sit him down and tell him they'd like him to join a band and all that sort of stuff. So that was kind of neat. But yeah, those guys are kind of insufferable.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, no. All right, Tim, what else?
Hmm. Ones that stuck out. Oh, um, just came out, I think 2 years ago. Cypress Hill, Insane in the Brain, that came out on Showtime. That one's really good. It's pretty long,
I didn't see
but
that.
that one goes through the entire band's history, and it's really interesting.
I
It
definitely
like
have to watch that.
especially when they get into like when they're starting to merge the hip hop with the rock and metal and stuff. That shit's really interesting, man. Like when they did the say you want to be a rock whatever the fuck they say, rock
Mm-hmm.
star or rap star, how they did all that with the bands and stuff. It's really interesting stuff. That and I love Cypress Hill, so
Yeah, I'm big fan of Temples of Boom. I love that album.
dude,
Uh,
that's their best record.
I gotta watch that. I really gotta find that. So let's talk about one, Tim. You probably haven't seen it, but it's not about bands, but it's about music. Did you see the one on Tower Records, All Things Must Pass?
Mm-mm.
So Colin Hanks, I think, directed it. Tom Hanks's kid. And it was really
The one that was in a season of Dexter.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And it was really good. It actually still might be on my server, but it talks about the rise and fall of Tower Records.
Okay. Oh,
And
I
yeah,
gotta
and
watch that.
those of us, we just did an episode on physical media, which comes out before this. Those of us that remember going to Tower and browsing those ginormous aisles and
Yeah.
finding all sorts of cool shit. It was really, really cool. Really cool.
I'll definitely put that one in the list too. I
All
got
right,
some
Tim,
time.
what else is on your list?
Dude, are we going like our favorites too, or should I just start
Yeah,
naming
yeah.
them?
Talk about your favorites. Talk about stuff that was good. Things that you think everybody else should watch.
All right. All right. If I'm gonna go with the OG for me, the OG band documentary for me is Corn Who Then Now. That's the first
Yeah,
one I've ever
yeah.
seen. That's the OG one. It's like 48 minutes. It's nice and quick, but the amount of Coors Light they drink in that is fucking
Staggering.
unbelievably crazy.
Staggering.
Um, just how crazy they were around that time. If you haven't seen that, I'm sure it's on YouTube at this point.
And they were so young,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, you really get to see how good David is as a drummer in that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or
And they
you know,
joke. Didn't Monkey joke about, oh, here's where the gold record's gonna go? Little did they know, that's kind of fucking nuts. But yeah, I remember buying that and watching it nonstop with my brother. That and the Slipknot Wait and Bleed.
you talking about the one that came with the record.
No, it came out right about the same time as Who Then Now. It was Slipknot's. It was a VHS. It was the 2 videos, and it was some live stuff, some behind the scenes.
I
Shit.
probably have it and I can't remember what it's called. I still have the VHS of Who Then Now.
Was it Welcome to Our Neighborhood? Was that it?
It probably is.
Might have been.
I think you have Who Then Now on your server too.
Yeah, I do. And you know what else I have? Speaking of Slipknot, Disaster Pieces, which is an awesome live set by them. I
Yeah, I
mean,
have
this is
that
them
on
at
here.
Iowa. This is them hitting on all cylinders. On
Yeah,
all
I have that.
cylinders.
I have that on my list. I have that DVD upstairs.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
So I think the greatest the goat for me is all three of the Vulgar videos from Pantera. They are fucking wild, dude. Especially the third one. That one is wild, dude. Like
they
that is
were
one of the
they were
funnest
nuts.
things to watch ever.
Rob, every time when him and Pat lived together, every time they'd come over from the bar drunk at 2 a.m., they'd put those on. And
I don't blame
they
them.
would keep drinking and start laughing. Yeah, those videos are nuts. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're
it makes you really think that if it's amazing that the Abbott brothers lived as long as they did, because the amount of partying that those guys did is almost inhuman.
yeah, I mean, him drinking as much as he did and then going on stage and nailing every solo, that's a
Mm-hmm.
feat that many people will never able to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
the dude's so wasted he can't walk, but he gets on stage and plays every note perfect. Like
Yeah, they
that's
stand him
wild,
up and
dude.
they stick the guitar on him and he just goes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen them, whatever you think of Pantera, whatever, dude, watch them. You can get all three of them on one DVD. It's fucking amazing. They're the goat of band DVDs.
What retro documentaries, Tim? You ever watch some of the older stuff? Anything of that ever catch your eye?
Oh yeah, you ever see Murder in the Front Row?
I was gonna ask if you saw that one. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that
That's
one's
that's the Bay, right? All the San Francisco,
all
Oakland, all
about
the Bay Area
thrash. Yeah,
metal.
all the
Yeah, yeah.
thrash. Yeah, that one's good. Um, old stuff.
Like
Man, there.
same vein. Did you watch Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2? The
Mm-mm,
metal years. It
mm-mm.
it hasn't held up well. But it's definitely worth watching to see that point in time. The other one to watch, Tim, Heavy Metal Parking Lot. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of that, but I've never seen that.
It's kind of painful, but it's for those watching and listening, it's a documentary about a bunch of kids hanging out in a parking lot. I think it's like a Rat concert or something, or some sort of like hair metal concert. But it is completely insane, and it's like, oh wow, that's what it really was like.
Man, I got a lot to watch now.
Yeah, I'll load up my Plex server. You can just pull some stuff down. Did you, I mean, obviously we've been through the Woodstock documentary. Did you see Slave to the Grind?
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. So anybody listening, watching, that was a not a GoFundMe. It was a Kickstarter documentary about grindcore, and it was by a Canadian guy, and he did a fantastic job. He found
Yeah,
all
man.
these bands coming out of the woodwork. He went back and found some old footage, and it was if even if you don't like grindcore, it's a really interesting watch.
It made me remember how good Brutal Truth is and shit like that,
Uh-huh.
man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
fucking great one, actually. I totally forgot about that, but it would have been on my list if I remember. That's a great one. I actually watch that off your server as well.
I thought
I
it
watch
just
all that shit off your server,
so
man.
I'm telling you, man, when my wife is not around, the first thing I do is I pull up documentaries. And I just it's if it's not music, it's World War II, and it just plays in the background. What a stereotype. Another so I'm gonna say a great not live music documentary, and then we can talk about some of the live music stuff. It's called, I think it was on Red Bull TV. It was called The Glamour and the Squalor. And this is about the DJ out of the Pacific Northwest. This is the guy who broke grunge. This is the guy who broke that electronica rise, Chemical Brothers, Daft Punk, whatever. Like
Oh,
he
yeah,
is
yeah,
he
yeah.
is the guy who was always, he had an ear and he was always one step ahead. He was always one step ahead. And it's a really fascinating story about how he found that stuff and how he actually helped hype a lot of it up. And then, it has its typical ending where he got caught up in some substances, and a couple times he had opportunities, he couldn't get his life together, and it kind of 86 some of his chances to have success. But it is an awesome, just to think, the same guy who broke grunge broke big band electronica.
Yeah, it's
You
the
know,
Sub Pop guy, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, there's a separate documentary about all the Sub Pop stuff as well. Like when I think Nirvana came out on Sub Pop, right? At first.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, there's a doc about all the Sub Pop stuff that's on Tubi, I think. Tubi has fucking everything, dude.
It really does. The DJ's name was Marco Collins.
Okay.
He was the guy. He was credited for helping to break Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Beck, Weezer, and countless others.
Hmm.
Jesus, right?
Yeah, right.
Jesus. Yeah, but that was really good. I think it's got to be on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, it's
Go on
on Red Bull
Tubi.
TV. If you can't find it, yeah, email me and I'll send you a fucking link. But yeah,
All right.
that was really really fascinating.
Two of the other ones that are must watches are both the Chimera ones are great. The dehumanizing process is one of the best ever done. That one's fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
The resurrection one's great as well. I think the dehumanizing one is better, but they're both equally good. It's just the other one has a little bit of an edge to it. One that everybody should watch, the Roadrunner United concert doc is fucking amazing.
I've never seen that.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
That is incredible. Like really good stuff. If you're into all them bands, the Fear Factory stuff. If you don't know about that, go watch that one. That one's awesome.
I gotta check that out. I gotta check that out. Is that up anywhere, Tim?
I think it's on YouTube. If not, I can rip it and put it on Plex.
Cool, cool.
Speaking
Did
of
you
Plex, to change the subject real quick, I decided I'm going NAS and I'm just gonna do it.
just get everything? Just download everything.
I'm going NAS, 16 terabytes, and I'm going.
No, just keep filling it. Just keep
It'll
filling it.
always be online. I'll put you on there. You can watch whatever the fuck you want.
Awesome, awesome. That's what I don't have a NAS. I have a giant external, but I leave that running all the time. Tim, did you see? And I know I've talked about this before. Did you see the Wrecking Crew?
What is that about again? That
So the
sounds very
Wrecking Crew
familiar.
is about the studio musicians in California. They played with Frank Sinatra, the Beach Boys, Tony Bennett, all that big music to come out of the 50s and 60s in California.
Mhm.
They were the studio band that recorded it all. So they were the actual drummer, bassist, guitarist. The beginning of "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys, that was them messing around in the studio and they came up with that. But
Oh, wow.
these and so you can't find it on any streaming service because they could never get the rights, because that literally these artists have played on everything. I will tell anybody though, go find this documentary. It's worth to see that it was literally a small studio group of like 20 musicians, played on almost every major big release. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, like all of that, they played on everything. And they were literally
all
just
that old
yeah, but they would just, Tim, imagine like you going in, sitting behind the drum set and saying, all right, who's coming in today? Oh, Frank Sinatra's coming in. Needs to play some backing. All right. And then the next day, who's coming in? Tony Bennett's coming in. Like, what a fucking job. And they called them the Wrecking Crew because they were the artists that you brought in. They were the instrumentalists that you brought in behind the artists to wreck shop.
That's a cool job.
Yeah. Yeah. They were literally studio musicians. That's all they did was sit around and play.
You just have to be super uber talented to do that, though.
Yeah. Think about it. You got to pick up basically any genre at any time, right? Like one day you're playing pop, one day you're playing metal, one day you're playing funk or salsa. But yeah, I think I probably still have that on my server. If not, I got to find it again. But it is a fantastic watch. And I know, Tim, while we're talking new metal, Sound City.
Yeah.
The scene where they're tracking Slipknot and there's like 400 people in the room, or when they tracked like the first Rage Against the Machine, where they show them recording there, like that was really fun. And plus, people like to shit on Dave Grohl. I think he just comes off as an awesome, friendly dude. Like he's wound tight, he's hyperactive, but so am I. But he just seems like a friendly dude.
Yeah, he's a dude I would love to have a beer with for sure.
Oh yes, yes. Sit down and have a beer and just talk shit, right? With the one scene for those that don't know, Sound City is about Sound City Studios in California, and it was a famous studio that eventually went out of business. And Dave Grohl bought the Neve board that they had, and it's all about the story behind the studio, him moving that board, setting it up at home, and then he re-records a lot of the original artists. And the line that I always remember, it's Dave Grohl is in the room with Paul McCartney in the recording room, and Butch Vig is behind the board. And then Paul McCartney says something like, yeah, I'm going to go into it right now, and if I sound sort of off, just let me know. And it cuts to the room, and the guy next to Butch Vig goes, yeah, Butch, you tell Sir Paul McCartney that he sounds a bit off. And they all kind of like nervously giggle. But again, you can tell that Dave Grohl is just a fan of music. Just a fan of music.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm going to put you...
It's hard to hate a dude like him because he put out so much good stuff. I think people hate him because of how popular he got and all that stuff.
Let me ask him, put you on the spot. What is your favorite out of all the live set DVDs, VHS tapes, whatever you've seen? What is your favorite?
Live.
So like when it's multicam of a live show.
Man, that's hard. I think, and all that was left behind, the 9 Inch Nails Blu-ray is fucking amazing.
Damn, that's a good call.
That, dude, if you have a good surround sound and a good TV, that Blu-ray looks phenomenal, dude. It sounds phenomenal. It's in 5.1. It's good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
grab that, dude, on Blu-ray.
I can't remember the last time I watched that. For me, I'm actually gonna say it's a tie. My favorite two, the first one, Ministry, The Mind is in case you didn't feel like showing up, which is the live set of them touring off of The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. And if people haven't seen this, imagine a band playing behind a 10-foot chain link fence with giant flame pots blowing on stage. And not to mention the fact that Ministry notoriously plays around 130 decibels, which is way too loud for most venues. Oh, yeah. Remember, Tim, it just came off as fucking insane. And that was when they had the traveling circus of like 3 guitarists, 2 bassists, 2 drummers, a keyboardist. Like, it was nuts. But that was one where I saw that and I just, my jaw was on the floor watching that. So that's my first favorite. My second favorite, people are going to skewer me for this, In the Round and In Your Face, Def Leppard, playing In the Round, touring off of Hysteria. Shout out to Jordan Sloan. I know he can appreciate it. But man, that was one of the bands that I discovered as a kid that I absolutely loved. Right? Pour Some Sugar on Me and all that. That was my age bracket. But goddamn, you watch that and they put on a show. When you go back and watch that, there is no surprise why they were as big as they were, because they were pure professionals.
The dude's singing. He's still a great singer. He's like fucking 70.
And he can still hit the notes.
Oh, yeah. And I heard that concert that they did with Poison and the other one. I heard they blew people off the stage every night.
Because they never stopped touring. They still play. Like, no offense to Bret Michaels. He's a little bit long in the tooth, right? And then CeCe DeMille has is CC DeVille has owned up to some of his substance abuse problems. So you put that together, it's not a good.
Take that stupid bandana off.
Well, he can't because his hairline's back here, dude. No offense to him, Brett. You want to come to the show? You come to the show, but his hairline's like back here. That's why he won't ever take it off, and he does. He looks kind of silly. It's like, you know what? When I see a dude wearing a hat, no, I'm gonna get killed for this. Fuck it. Keep drinking, Jay. A dude who wears a hat backwards who's over 25. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
If I wear a hat, it's backwards.
Oh, Tim. All right, moving along. What else? What else is good?
Dude, to bury your dead alive, that's great.
Oh, yeah, where he gets hit in the head with the headstock.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great one.
I actually listened to that live disc, that live CD, more than I listened to those albums.
Damn.
But because they also play some of the songs, they play a half step faster. Legend is a half step faster, and it's much better than the recorded version.
I gotta rewatch that again. Philadelphia is great.
Did you go to that?
I don't remember.
They were
the taping. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, Kim was trying to convince me to go because they were talking about they still had tickets. She's like, "It's Lamb of God, it's Philly." I'm like, but that was a time where, you remember we talked about this. They were them and Unearth. They toured with and opened for everybody. So at that point, I was burnt out. I was like, I don't know if I could see these guys again.
That was at the Troc, right?
At the Troc.
Yeah, I love the Troc, man.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen In Flames Used and Abused?
Mm-hmm.
That one's great. I have that upstairs. A band I don't really like much, but I used to really like. Slayer put out one in like 2004 called "Still Raining." That one's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're another band that I don't think gets the overarchingly. Hanneman gets nods and Dave Lombardo gets nods, but all four of them put together were a hell of a band. They were a hell of a band. Like they all could play.
Definitely. There's a couple other good ones. 36 Crazy Fists Underneath a Northern Sky. It's kind of a mix of between, they play a live set and then in between every song they go backstage kind of thing. It's kind of like that Mudvayne one we did that YouTube shit on and we couldn't put out.
Oh yeah. I forgot Mudvayne live in Peoria. For those watching, listening, Tim and I tried to do a live watch where we watched it and commented while we were watching and we were going to release it. We uploaded it to YouTube and they basically said, yeah, no.
Yeah, fuck you. Can't do it.
So that's lost to the annals of time. That'll be a bootleg that we put out at some point.
Yeah, I still have it. And then All That Remains just put out one called Live. That's pretty good. That was back when they were really good. Of course, Slipknot Disaster Pieces is good. You ever see Converge, The Long Road Home?
Oh yeah, with like the ancient footage of them. Yeah.
That's good. Cradle Filth has one called Peace Through Superior Firepower. That's good. There's a lot of good ones, dude. I have a fucking spindle of burnt DVDs with just all music documentaries on them.
Do you have all the Hellfest ones?
I have all of them. Yep.
New England and Metal
Fest. I have all of them.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to go through that spindle, or I would have had 3 more pages of shit to go. We should do a second one, actually.
Did you ever see the or did you have the Poison the Well documentary they did when Tear from the Red came out?
Yep, I have the actual disc of that. Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to go to an old school obscure one, right? Which for the longest time was impossible to find. The New York Hardcore Comp documentary.
I have
with,
it.
The best part about that, I think, is so for those that haven't seen it, it's District 9, Crown of Thorns, 25 to Life, VOD, Madball, a whole bunch of New York hardcore bands. And they interviewed them. They interviewed them for the movie, and then like fast forward 5 or 6 years and they interview them again. And one of the funniest parts is when they first interview Ezak from Crown of Thorns, he's shitting all over Rick to Life. Like, yo, the guy looks like a fucking fool with all these tattoos. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him? You're gonna go to your girlfriend's mom like that? And then you fast forward 5 years later and he's laughing. He's like, yo, I was shitting all over Rick to Life and now I look like him. Like, that was unbelievable.
Yeah. He's like, now I look like him. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
And they had the VOD guys when they were kids in the suits that they wore to sign their record deal. And I think it was Mike Kennedy had like this purple double-breasted monstrosity. It was terrible.
You know what's, now we're talking about New York stuff. All of the New York ones are good. Like, yeah, the Chronicles one, the Godfathers of Hardcore is absolutely amazing.
How do we not mention that one? That one is great. That's great.
That's absolutely amazing. I don't really care for a lot of the bands on the American hardcore one, but that one was done pretty well. That's
Was
like
that?
all the that's all like the Black Flag, Bad Brain stuff. It's like
Oh,
all the old
where they
stuff.
go to different cities? That was
Yeah.
really interesting. Really
Yeah, that
interesting.
that
Again,
one's good.
like you said, Tim, you don't have to like the music to understand the story, like the Bad Brains and how cool those stories were. Like, yeah,
Yeah, the PA hardcore doc is fucking great. That what's his name put out a while ago. That one's really good.
is
I'll have
that
to
the one with the
upload
all
that
else
one.
failed guys? They're all in costume. They're like
I
dressed as
can't
like lobsters. Yeah, yeah,
I can't remember if it's on there, but I
yeah.
have that one. That one's fucking great.
Dude, there's a New Jersey hardcore one. It's oh, I think it's One for One, New Jersey Bloodline, E Town Concrete. Like that one's on YouTube, and it's a wild watch.
You
Wild.
know, so there was a Detroit Coldest Life one that was in production that got canceled, and I they really need to finish that one, man, because the 2 minute snippet they put out of that looked really fucking great, man.
Yeah, they've been around a long time, and they got a long story, right? They got a long story.
Yeah, I really recommend listening to Jeff Gunnell's the podcast he did, because that dude's got a very interesting story.
Was it the Hardlore guys?
The Hardlore one's amazing. The Joe Hork hardcore one's really fucking detailed and great. If you want to listen to ones that are kind of like goofy but kind of cool at the same time, Jimmy Ferrari did two of them. With him on
Okay.
Blast Furnace. I was going to get him on, but after Jimmy did it, I'm like, I'm not going to just rehash everything he
Right,
did.
right, right.
I was offered it, and then I was like, fuck it.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, yeah.
Jimmy was the one that did him first, and he got shit on by so many people. Like, oh, the interview sucks, and I'm like, shut up. Jimmy doesn't do them kind of interviews. He just bullshits, and that
Right,
was
right.
great. That's what's great about the way he did stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think he said he's coming back out with that. We all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
So.
we all knew it was coming. Jimmy, we called it. I still think his best interview was the Mike Judge one because I don't even like that band, but I listened to that intently because he got him to talk and it was a fascinating story.
Yeah, was there a bunch of plates in the background and
Yeah, they were in the
gunshots?
dine. Well, no, they were in the diners. There was like clanking. It's not like the Walter interview he did where they were like fucking had forks in a blender, fucking right off. It was terrible.
Was
So
that a construction wet? He's at
yeah,
a
it's a live
construction
construction site, a firing range. It's like Jimmy picked the best venues. So two, Tim, I'm going to talk about which are way outside of what we typically talk about, but I thought were really good. Under the Electric Sky, which is the story of the Electric Daisy Carnival, the big rave out in Vegas. So it's
Never
how
heard of
they
it.
set up the EDC, but it's also a bunch of people looking to go. So follow them as they go, but also like, dude, him and I watched it, and she looked at me and she said, "We have to go to this. Just one night, we have to go." Because Tim, when you watch that, you're gonna go, "Holy shit!" They actually pull this off, and they do it every year. It is. I can't even describe to you what the stage setup is. Imagine like 9 stages all playing techno, different types. If there's an airplane hangar, but you got, dude, just watch it. You're gonna be like, "Holy shit!"
I will. Yeah.
You're gonna be like, "Yo, we should go and just get wasted just one night." The other one I really enjoyed. Who is Harry Nilsson, the songwriter? It's all about him and his life. He wrote "Can't Live." He wrote a whole bunch of songs that, if I start rattling them off, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, that guy wrote that." He had some drinking problems, and he had some bouts and some famous stories. But dude, it was a really interesting doc about a guy who's an amazing songwriter. He was an amazing songwriter.
Yeah, I have a lot to watch. Wow.
Uh, did you watch? And this is fairly recent, so I watched this. It was definitely on Tubi. When the bands stopped playing,
Mm-mm.
it was all about the COVID lockdown and what
Oh,
happened to the bands and the venues and whatnot. That was interesting. Another great one, Sunset Strip, right? Which is all about the Sunset Strip, the
yeah.
Rainbow Room, and all
Yep.
those clubs that are there. That was actually really cool. It
Yeah,
was
that
really
looks
cool to
cool.
listen to them talk about it because like you literally could stumble from venue to venue to venue to venue nonstop. Can you imagine what that was like, Tim, when it was like Korn was in one place, Incubus was another, System was here, Cold Chamber was here? Like, can you
Yeah,
imagine?
that one is pretty great. I have to watch that one again. You ever see Dark Hour Party Scars and Prison Bars?
Who was it? Is that Darkest Hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I don't know if you're into Demute Borgir, but they
Mm-mm.
have one. They have a one called World Misanthropy. That one's cool.
Yeah, Emu Burger's not my thing.
Of course, Sepultura, their Chaos DVD is great.
Yes, yes, A Slave New World. What is it? What's it called? Something in the New World where it's the
Yeah,
live off
slave. Yeah,
Arise.
yeah, 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 yeah. Slave something. They have a chaos one too, and then if you're into hip hop, the Jedi Montrix Divine Fire is great, especially if you're from the Philly area. That one's fucking great. Um, low sound desert. That's great.
Oh, how do we miss that? Low Desert Sound. If anybody,
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah,
if
yeah.
you like stoner music, right? If you like stoner rock, so Caius, Fu Manchu, Queens of the Stone Age, all that really fuzzed out rock, Sleep. It was that was awesome. That was one of those I watched it and then I watched it again. I enjoyed it that much, and
Me
then
as well. Yeah,
I listened to nothing but Caius for 3 days
yeah. Me as
because
well. I watched that a bunch of times.
I think his voice, John Garcia's voice, it is. He's done Caius, he's done Slow Burn, he's done Hermita, he's done all these other things. The guy really is fucking talented.
That looks like one of the funnest like studio things ever because it's like you're in the middle of the fucking desert. Like Josh Home is there, like just recording in like a shack. It looks like,
Yeah.
and they're just getting blitzed. It's like 5 a.m. in the desert. They're walking outside, pissing on tarantulas and shit. It's fucking crazy.
And the scene where they would go out to that old area where there was just an in-ground pool, but there was nothing left, and they would
Yeah,
drag a generator and have a show. Like that's awesome. That really is awesome.
yeah, that is a really good one, man. That definitely, I think that's on Tubi.
Yes, Low Desert Sound. We Tim, when we do this episode, when we put it out, we got to put together a list with links of the best ones that people need to see.
Yeah, that one's great, man. Um, well, I wish I would have went through that spindle, dude. I was just so fucking busy today. I mean, we could go through movies that are like actual movies. I mean, books. I mean, there's so much cool shit we can go through. I'll tell
Speaking of
you what.
movies, go on, go on.
I'll tell you what. I do want to go to a disappointment one. Nevermore put out one called The Year of the Voyager. I love Nevermore, but god damn, whoever edited that is awful. They fucking cut to a camera every second. You just can't get a vibe with it because it cuts every second. It's like this, dude. It just
So,
cuts.
you know who's picked up his game because he used to be like that, Sonny from Hate 56. There were some videos that I used to not be able to watch because there were so many cuts so fast you can't even enjoy it.
Yeah. If I'm telling you, go on YouTube after this real quick. All you have to watch is 30 seconds of The Year of the Voyager, and your head will fucking explode.
Sounds like a good time.
It sounds amazing, but goddamn, the cuts are horrific, dude. Whoever did that should be shot. Should be brought out back of the venue and shot.
Shoot them
Don't
in the face.
ever fuck. I want to know who did it so I can call him and be like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Redo that for me, please. And just can I get like 10 seconds of the drummer? The fuck.
The hype cuts are bad. Like it's not. People don't realize it's. I guess editors don't realize it takes away from the enjoyment of the movie if it's cut.
Oh, it's horrific, dude. I tried watching it so many times. I'm like, I can't. I get through one song. I'm like, I can't do it. My head's gonna explode.
You know what? If we're talking about live sets, what was the name of the Meshuggah DVD? Was it Alive? Because
Oh,
that was really good.
Oh yeah, what is that called?
I think it
that
was
that was the
Alive.
Chaos Sphere thing, right?
It was the one where it looked like the alien logo. The alien, yeah, Alive. 2010. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I've seen that.
Speaking of Ministry, right? We talked about in case you didn't feel like showing up. Did you see like Sphincter?
Oh hell yeah, yeah, I have that.
You can tell Al is out of his mind. Al is
Oh yeah,
out of his mind in that DVD.
I know I have that in my spindle.
I've got it over there. Yeah.
When you could get DVDs from Netflix, what I would do, I would have the plan where you can get like 5 of them at once. I would get 5 in, rip all of them on my hard drive, send them back, burn them. As the next 5 came, rip them, burn them, rip them. I did it for fucking years, dude. I have probably 2,000 DVDs I've ripped from them.
Yeah. So my thing was Kim and I once every month or so, a couple of months, we would go. We had Netflix, but we would go to Blockbuster, and I would buy. You know how when they buy 5,000, they used to buy 5,000 copies of a movie, and then they would turn around and sell it. I have 2, 3 ginormous binders of DVDs upstairs. I've chucked the cases. I've chucked the books. It's just the DVDs. But I literally have 2, 3 binders of just DVDs. And when they're like $5 a pop, you would go in and buy a handful of them. Oh, I like this movie. I would watch that again.
Yeah, I have a blue one that's literally like this thick.
And
And it, dude, it's fucking, it must weigh 50 pounds.
Uh, excuse me. What do you think, Tim? So Nevermore was disappointing. And
Horrible. It's the worst
anything
one I've ever
else
seen.
you've watched where you're like, I don't know if I would recommend this to anybody.
I really, not really, man. There's most of the ones I've seen are pretty good, but that Nevermore one is fucking brutal.
There was, you got me thinking. Was it the movie itself was called Party Monster, and it was about Michael Ailig, the guy, the club kid from New York who killed the guy, dismembered him in his house, and threw him in
Oh
the
yeah,
East
yeah, yeah,
River.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was the dramatization, but there was a documentary that went with it. I forget what the name of it was. Party Monster.
Okay.
Uh, I thought that was fit. I thought it was great. So my story is that was the summer after my freshman year of college, and I was working as a bank teller. And the Village Voice used to come out every Wednesday, and the Aquarium used to come out every Wednesday. And the guy who tracked this story and basically tracked it to the point where it broke was getting cover pieces in the Village Voice. So every week I would pick it up and I was following the story of, what's going on? Did they find the guy? Did they find the guy? And the guy they killed was some drug dealer. They injected Drano into his veins, then they dismembered him, then they threw him in
Jesus.
the East River. And he was this drug dealer known for wearing giant angel wings and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of nuts, but the movie is Party Monster with Party Monster. It is with Macaulay Culkin playing the lead role, but the documentary is also called Party Monster, and it was good.
I
It was
wonder if
good.
is that instant death Drano in the veins?
I think he was dead already.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think he was
when
dead
you're a
already.
bank teller, did I ever get robbed?
No, but I was short $2,000 one day.
Did you get fired?
Nope.
Mm.
It was, dude, this story is amazing. I was a floating teller. So I didn't have a bank I worked at. I would go to different branches, and it was the summer, and I would do lunchtime coverage. So, like, hey, Tim is out at this branch for a week on vacation. Can you go cover? So I would just drive to different branches. I'm at this branch. I'm working the drive up window, and the bank I was working for at that point had just been bought out. So I was working for Midlantic, which got bought out by PNC. So I was working through a temp agency, and I close my drawer and I do the math, and I'm like, this ain't right. I counted again. I counted again. I go to the head teller. I'm like, I'm short. She said, how short? I said, 1,800. What? So she counts my drawer. They close the branch. The assistant branch manager counts my drawer. The branch manager counts my drawer. We go through every single one of my transactions. Can't find it. Can't find it. So, well, they called security and they said, security, what's going on? To mind you, this is security who's in the midst of a merger. Half their people got laid off. So security says, okay, well, come in tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Meet with us. So I go home. My parents are away. I call my parents. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to get fired. I was $2,000 short, blah, 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 blah. So I did what any responsible 19-year-old would do is I got fucking wasted. I got wasted. Woke up at 10 o'clock the next day. I get showered, I get dressed, I go back to the branch. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna fucking fire me. I walk in and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I overslept. My alarm didn't go off. My parents are away, blah, blah. Did I miss the meeting with security? And they said, oh no, they never came. They said, you can't, we need you here. We want to, clock in, but we're not gonna have you at a window. So I filled like brochures and shit. And that went on for 2 days. And then they finally got a call from security that I was cleared to go back on the window, but they actually rotated me. This was like close to the end of August anyway. So I had 3 weeks left. They rotated me to another branch where I was sat next to a head teller who could watch me. So the kicker is, so I got the job through my aunt who was a bank employee. The kicker is I go back to college. I come home. It's got to be Christmas break. So 6 months later, I'm sitting there talking to my aunt, and the manager of her branch walks in. She looks at me and she says, I know you. You're Jay, that roving teller. I said, yes. She said, you're the guy with that phantom $2,000 difference. I said, yeah, that was me. Did they ever find it? And she went, nope. She said, we pulled your security footage off the window. We had somebody watch all your transactions, see if you were stuffing money somewhere. We pulled all your receipts. We have no idea what happened. So literally, I stole $2,000 from a bank, got away with it, and I don't even know who got the money. Like I gave it. I had to. Tim, that's a lot of money, dude. That's 20 $100 bills. I, it has to be, and usually typos, 369 transcriptions, people will mess those numbers up. Yeah, so literally, I was the world's worst bank teller. I really was. But a cool thing, I got to meet if you ever heard of the band Android Lust, Shiki is the singer, songwriter, keyboardist, guitarist. I worked with her.
Oh, cool.
It was kind of cool. But
Maybe
yeah,
she took it.
I was the world. No, it was a different branch, but I was the worst bank teller ever. The worst bank teller ever.
I'll never be able to do it.
And then I got a second job as a bank teller, which was kind of amusing right after college. So I did it twice.
Touching money is one of them things that makes me feel gross.
Oh, you would have to at the end of the day wash your hands and shit. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Ugh.
All right, Tim. What have we not talked about?
We have, so there's some movies that are music centric we could go over. Obviously, Lords of Chaos. I don't care what anyone says. That is a fucking fun watch.
It's a good. It's brutal. I'll never watch it again. But
it's
yeah,
brutal, but that's a fun watch. The goat of music, documentary, not documentary, of musical movies is The Doors with Val Kilmer. That is the goat.
I'm gonna say it's Whiplash.
Okay.
Did you ever see that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Trying to play faster than you give a fucking hand job. Like so I was in the band, right? I didn't play competitively like that, but I knew schools that the instructor was like that. And he was a fucking lunatic in that movie. When he stands there and he just throws the stand at the drummer, like, yeah, what a great movie. What a great movie.
He's a great actor. I remember the first time I seen him was in Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Oz. Yeah, to me the Doors one is the goat. There's a couple more like 8 Mile. Whether you like Eminem or not, that's fucking.
It was
great.
A good movie.
Yeah. Straight Outta Compton, great. Get Rich Die Trying. They're all great. All the hip hop ones are really
Notorious.
Good.
Notorious was awesome.
Great. Yeah. There's a lot of cool hip hop ones, but I mean, a lot of the other ones that they've done are pretty bad. There's not really good representations. Dirt? I've never seen that actually.
It's not that bad.
Isn't that?
I didn't think.
Is that actors playing them though?
Yes. So it's like Machine Gun Kelly and a couple other actors. Yes. Yeah. It's not bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, I read that book and was like, holy shit, my mind was blown. And we are going to do an episode on the best nonfiction books around music, and we're gonna do that. That's a whole episode of itself. But absolutely. Yeah, I thought the movie was pretty good comparatively to the book. I thought so.
I'll read it. I'll watch it though. I guess I have a lot of shit to do, man.
Yeah, a lot of content to consume. What else, Tim?
That's about it on my list, man.
Yeah, I think we covered all of mine. The only one we didn't talk about is we touched on these a lot, like the Netflix ones. Like we talked about Hired Guns. Did we talk about Count Me In, the one about the drummers? That was great. We talked about Muscle Shoals, The Wrecking Crew. Yeah, I've got a bunch of these on my Plex server. If someone's really looking for these and they can't find it, just email me and I'll give you access. But yeah, there is so much out there. And I think the big thing, Tim, I think you would agree to take away from this is just because you might not like the band or might not like the type of music does not mean you won't like the movie, because there's a lot of really good ones out there.
Definitely. The other one I could remember that I forgot about, Death by Metal. It's about Chuck from the band Death. That's
okay. I've never seen that one. That was like a solid one though, right? Like it was professionally done and all that.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I think you could find that on Tubi as well.
Yeah, I think I did see it. Yeah,
that one's worth a watch.
You shared the best, the worst. I think the worst one I've ever seen, I think it was called Hot Fuzz, and it was about people who mod pedals. So people who buy guitar pedals and mod them, but it wasn't nearly as engaging as it could have been.
Yeah,
because that's a fairly obscure, nerdy topic. But I mean, I've never played a fucking guitar in my life, and I'm all into it. But it was just the way it was done was not enjoyable. It was not enjoyable.
Yeah, some of these things that people do as like their first like little thing, or they're obviously going to be terrible. That's probably one of them. It's probably like it's one of them ones where they just said, fuck it, I'm going to make a documentary about fuzz pedals. then you get it and you're like, yeah, it's pretty shitty.
Yeah, they kind of winged it. Yeah, I mean, interesting topic, but the movie wasn't good.
Yeah.
All right.
And the only other one I can think of, I forget the title of it though. It was all about synthwave and how it came back. I forget what it's called. I told you to watch
was
it.
that yes? Was that Rise of the Machines? Was that
Rise
it?
of the Machines? Yeah,
Yes.
that one's it's good. It could have been better, but it's pretty good. So if you're into all that synth stuff, like Midnight 8 or whatever that what's that? A Time Cop 84 and all that shit. If you're into all that stuff, check that out. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I enjoyed that. All right. So we're gonna put some links in the show notes for some stuff that we think everybody should check out. If we talk too fast and you're like, hey, what was the title of that? Find us on YouTube, find us on Gmail, ping us, let us know. We can definitely rattle it back off for you.
If you got ones, tell us.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, we didn't even touch on. I mean, there was a Dracula Logic documentary. There was an Incubus documentary. There was a whole bunch of stuff that we just don't have enough time. Don't have time.
Yeah, we might have to do a part 2. Maybe in a year we'll do a part 2.
Right after we spend the next 6 months watching all the shit we didn't watch for the first one.
Exactly.
So, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Questions, comments, concerns, contact us. newbreedpodcast@gmail.com, newbreed_podcast on both Twitter and Facebook. Find us on our Facebook group. We do have a voicemail number if you want to leave some audio complaints, and that number is, what is it, Tim? 267-297-4627.
Yeah, man.
Call in, leave us audio. We will play it on the show. Promise, we'll play it on the show.
Definitely.
So until next time, this is New Breed Podcast saying, cheers.